very good. Okay, so I will tell very simple way. Just people are there, so they must be content. Okay, tomorrow maybe timing may changes from tomorrow. Same timing only, just a half an hour changes. So like a 3:30 to 6:30 kind of stuff. Okay, so compulsory check it. Okay, so this is tomorrow I will inform whether it is 3 or 3:30. No, it is. What is an operating system? So we have discussed about hardware, different hardware components, and hard disk partitions also. Now to work with this hardware, need a operating system, right? So we don't know how to give instructions directly what hardware can able to understand, what CPU can understand, what memory can understand. So we don't know that language, right? We need an operating system which is intermediate between a user and a hardware. You can say it is kind of middleware. Okay, it is a kind of middleware. Of course, it's not a middleware anyway, but it's a one example for a middleware, but still not a middleware. So what is operating system? It is a software or a program which interacts between end user, means I'm an end user, and my computer hardware. So it is interface between my laptop hardware to me. This is a interface. Operating system provide a interface to user and it interacts with your hardware. Every computer must have a single, at least one operating system to run other programs. Like I want to run a Google Chrome. Now I'm running Google Chrome, WhatsApp, Microsoft Teams, Paintbrush, Notepad, Microsoft Edge, PLC player, anything. Want to run a program on a computer, so I need an operating system support to run it. Okay. Certain applications we need to provide certain environment. So applications to run an applications, the environment support is required. The environmental support is required. So that is by operating system. OS help you to communicate with a computer without knowing how to speak computer language. You know, two type of languages: high level language, low level language. High level language means your C, C++, Java, Python. Those are all comes under high level languages. Low level languages means binary system, hexadecimal systems, assembly languages. Assembly also not completely purely low level, but it is not very high level also. But still it is low level language, means it's a binary system. The computer understand low level language, we understand high level language. So how to work with the computer if you don't know the low level language, that is because of operating. Yes, olden days means when the computer is start using, not a personal computer wise, means not a PC kind of stuff. So that supercomputer, that time computers, vacuum tube computer, IC computer, that time. It is the people who design the hardware, they also design the program. They know how to work with this hardware. Okay. Nowadays, computers are used by every person, including kids, non-IT people, IT people, every person. So OS help you to communicate with the hardware means that every people, these people don't know how to communicate with the computer, right? Maybe I know, maybe some people don't know. For example, you go to shopping mall, there's a 10th intermediate people are there. They do billing, they do operate a computer. Now kids are doing like online classes, they use the computer. They don't know the computer, but they are using the computer, right? So how it is possible? Because it's just how it is user friendly to it because of the operating system and applications. So we can easily run an application. It is possible, it is not possible for a user to use any computer or a mobile phone, including mobile phone, without having an operating system. No operating system, it's very difficult to interact with the hardware. Guys, when we are discussing about a Linux, Unix kind of stuff, generally people go to explain about a kernel and shell. But when you learn a Windows operating system, they don't discuss kernel and shell. There is a reason. Okay? So what is the reason? Is we cannot touch kernel and shell part of a Windows operating system, but in Linux is a open source, so obviously we can able to interact your kernel and shell part. We can modify that one also. So whatsoever it is, guys, your operating system is basically two parts. One is kernel or a kernel and shell. This kernel is interact with your hardware, interact with CPU, RAM, hard disk, your NICs, your video chipset or audio chipsets. Okay, so all your pen printers. So kernel will understand how to communicate with the hardware devices. Okay, shell provide a user interface. Shell interact with user. Shell provide a user interface. In user interfaces, different user interfaces are there. Graphical user interface, client, command line interface, CLI, command line interface, graphical user interface, text-based or terminal-based user interface. Shell interact with user, provide a user interface, run applications on it. In a Linux and Unix, so we have a different type of shells are there. One of the more popular shell and currently using is bash shell type. Okay, so that is the kernel, guys. Kernel interact with your hardware components. Shell interact with the user. Shell provide a user interface and run the applications. Different user interfaces are there. Command line interface. So like in a Linux and Unix, we have a command lines. You have to do everything, not CMD part. Okay, you have to do anything in the command lines only. Like you want to create a file, or you want to install something, you want to uninstall something, you want to modify something, you want to kill it something. Command lines only. That is command line interface. Graphical user interface. Anything you want to do, like a open, close, sending, reading, doing, disk management, file management, anything you can do in a graphically. That is a graphical user interface. Text-based interfaces are like a on command line interfaces. So you don't have a more interactive mode. So to manage certain things, there is a TUI based interfaces also there. Okay. So operating system, two parts, kernel and shell. For example, I am running this application. Okay, the application is converted into the shell understandable. Shell will convert this data into shell understandable. Shell to kernel, kernel to process. Process is running and executed. Then it is given to shell. Shell shows the outcome on the screen. That's it. Guys, in operating system, we have a two types and three type kind of stuff. I'm not saying what is two types. So in operating system, we have a simple operating system, network operating system, NOS, SOS. Simple operating system is like a desktop operating system, like a MS-DOS, Windows XP kind of operating system, Windows 10 operating system, Windows 11 operating system. These are a simple operating system, desktop-based operating system. NOS, network operating system, server OS, like a Windows Server, Linux, Unix kind of operating systems comes under network operating system. Next one is operating system. User is type of operating system like a single user, single task, single user, multitask, multi-user, multitask operating system. Single user, single task means only one user can able to interact at a time and only one task is runs. That is example is MS-DOS. Single user multitask means only one user can able to log into only one user able to log in at a time, but we can run multiple things. For example, Windows operating system. Okay, you can see I am the user. I am able to log into my PC. I can do multiple things. See web browsing, Google Team, Paintbrush, WhatsApp, right? So multiple things, multiple tasks I am running, but single user only can log in at it. For example, in my laptop, I have a 2, 3 users. So if I log out, then only other user can able to log in. Same time, two users cannot able to log in either directly or remotely. Through remote mission also not able to log in. Multi-user multitask. Multi-user multitask means not only one user guys, multiple users can able to log into same PC either physically or through network. We can able to log in with a multiple user multitask. And of course, we can run multiple tasks. Even per user also multiple tasks will run. Either foreground or background kind of stuff we can run. Okay, this is the other type. Next one is distributed operating system. I am not written here, but distributed operating system that is also used in a distributed system, distributed application kind of stuff. Real-time operating system, guys. Real-time operating system are useful here. Usually, I will share one YouTube kind of stuff. Then you can understand what is a real-time operating system means. In some places, we don't use traditional operating system like a Linux, Unix, and Windows operating systems. The companies will build hardware and also they build an operating system to operate that particular hardware. Okay, so not required a traditional operating system for that. For example, I want to launch like satellites, like in power stations. So they build their own operating system, separate operating system, only for that particular hardware, not generalized operating system. Next, mobile operating system. What is a mobile operating system? So different mobile phones are available not only now, earlier also we have a mobile phones. Not required to be a smart mobile phones. Any mobile phone have an operating system, right? But nowadays more popular one is Android. Next one is Mac. Okay, Mac means Apple, iOS or Android operating system more popular in the mobile operating system. Not only that one, Symbian, BlackBerry, Tizen, those phone. Not only so many are there. Android one, Google Pixel. That is a mobile phone. Okay, the different type of mobile operating systems are there. More popular is Android, iOS, and of course those also there, but still is little setback. Yes, this is about your what is an operating system and architecture of operating system, type of operating systems. And here when I discuss about a simple operating system and network, there it is a desktop operating system and server operating system as an example I told. What is the use of desktop operating system, guys? Desktop operating system I am using to take the class, prepare the PPTs, play games, web browsing, watching videos, hearing audio, playing music kind of stuff. You can do programming like Python, JavaScript like that we can do it. These are the main part of the desktop. Means multi-purposes we are using. Next, it is become a end user device. Desktop is a end user device. I am using that is I am an end user, not a intermediate system. It is not a intermediate system. It is an end user device. It acts like a client PC. It's like a DHCP client, DNS client, or maybe Active Directory client. It's a client PC. The server client environment act like a client PC. Server OSS Server OSs having certain features. Some are either it is a built-in features, some are like a can install certain applications in the server operating systems. Like you have a Windows server operating system, Linux server operating system. You can install a built certain applications, packages, or maybe enabling certain features. Your server OSs start providing services. Okay, so based on the services, you can call that one as like a DHCP server, DNS server, VPN server, web server, application server, file server, mail server, authentication server, proxy server, remote desktop server, deployment server, database servers. So based on what services it is providing, it becomes that server. So how it is become a server in a particular server by installing an application or maybe installing a feature inside that operating system or maybe some package kind of stuff like an application. That is the difference between desktop and server, guys. Desktop OSs are used to what is server is you actually not tracking it. So servers are used for providing a service. Desktop OSs are we are using anything in a general purposes only. Of course, client to the server. The client side in server and client, it is a client side. Server provides a service. That's it. Okay. Last time one guy, not our batches, guys, so only so many years back. One guy keep asking me, sir, which is the powerful server or a client operating system? Like a Windows Vista is a powerful, Windows 2008 server is very powerful. I told it is 2008 is a very costly. And he said, I want that Windows 2008 server immediately. So because I can do everything with it. I said, you cannot do anything with it because it is just a server operating system. You cannot get any interface. No problem, sir. You don't know. Maybe you don't have a knowledge on it. So my friends have more knowledge in computer. So they will do wonders with it. So I said, you cannot do anything with it. So not even you cannot play a game in the server operating system. Lot of features will be disabled in the server operating system. Server meant for providing a service. Okay. Desktop are utilizing that services. That's it. Okay. Yes. Are you okay up to here?
Yes, sir.
Very good. So next one is the small difference between Windows OS and Linux operating system. Okay. In generally, Linux is can't say it is an operating system, or you cannot say it is not an operating system like that. There's some dilemma is there, but whatever it is, guys, Linux, the kernel of Linux is open source. You can go to you can download Linux kernel. Current version is 6.0.5. You can download this Linux kernel and develop your own Linux operating system. You can distribute that Linux operating system to anyone. You can sell also. So what is the open source? Guys, lot of people think open source means it is free. It does not mean that is not a dictionary meaning. Open source means the source code of the application or an operating system is available for everyone. So open source means the source code of an operating system or an application is available. So you can take it and you can develop it and you can distribute it. Okay, so that is the open source. Okay, you can take Linux kernel, you can develop your own operating system, and you can distribute that operating system as you want. So Windows is not a open source, means you cannot get the open source code of the operating system. You cannot modify, you cannot modify and distribute kind of stuff, not having any permission to you. And Windows operating systems are generally proprietary of Microsoft only. Linux is do not have any proprietary. Linux operating system is developed by Linus Torvald. Linus Torvald. He's an engineering student that time, so then he took a part of Unix operating system, a small part of Unix operating system kernel, and develop his own Linux kernel. And he given a license called GNU and GPL version 2, general public license. And GNU means GNU, not Unix. Okay. Okay. So GUI Linux is a Windows-based operating system or GUI-based operating system. That shit is more user-friendly. Linux is having very powerful CLI, command line interface, less GUI useful but more CLI kind of stuff, and Linux is not more user-friendly. If you want to use a Linux, you compulsory go for the trained professional. In Windows, it's not required. Like normal Windows operating system, like desktop-based operating system, you don't require a special training. Any general people can learn it. Even a Windows server, of course, we need a training for Windows server operations, but still normal Windows, don't require any. You have to pay for a licenses, and it is a Linux, mostly it is a free operating system. Okay, Windows is not case sensitive. You can put a capital A, small a, no differences, but in Linux it is a case sensitive. So you put a capital B or small b, both are different. Microsoft distributed Windows operating system. Microsoft is a sole owner, sole responsible for a Windows operating system. In Linux, so many people, so many organizations taken the Linux kernel and develop and distributed it in a different ways. Some are distributions are Ubuntu, CentOS, Red Hat, Enterprise Linux, Debian, Fedora kind of stuff. Virus free. So virus free is no. Normally, Linux cannot execute the Windows-based files. Windows cannot execute Linux-based. Most of the viruses are Linux-based viruses, Windows-based viruses that cannot be executed in Windows. So that's why we call it as a virus-free. In Windows operating system, normally the first account in a desktop operating system, the first user account become administrator. You can make multiple users as an administrator also possible, and default administrator is also there. In Linux, there is a root user. The root user is the administrator of your Linux system. Administrator of Linux means administrator of Linux system. So root has highly privileged users. Windows is a single user multitask based operating system. Linux is multi-user multitask. Very important thing. Windows operating system require a more hardware footprint than a Linux. Linux is less hardware footprint. Yes, the Linux operating system is not owned by anyone. Even a Microsoft also distributing Linux operating system. Not only Windows, Microsoft also distributing Linux operating system. Okay, that is also there. Next, what is this hardware footprint, guys? I'll give you one example. I want to run an application. So I'm using a Windows operating system. It consumes a lot of resources by different applications and all. That is also a little bit okay. But most of the RAM is consumed by our graphical user interfaces, okay, the pixels, colors, everything. Whereas a Linux, not more about GUI, it is more about it is CLI. Okay, so entire graphical related process will take 1 GB of RAM. So Linux, if you are using on the CLI base, so you will save 1 GB RAM. It's very simple. I installed a Docker, Jenkins, GitHub in a one single machine, Windows 10 machine. So initially it is required only 2 GB RAM, then 4 GB, then 60 GB RAM, up to 6 GB RAM. I increase for that Windows 10 machine. Whereas in a Linux machine, I use 2 GB RAM, that is enough. I used everything on it. 4 GB faster, 2 GB okay. Like that. Okay. That's it is. Linux consumes less hardware resources. Windows consumes more hardware resources because of graphical user interface. Okay, guys, that is about your introduction to your operating system. Again, once again, question is what is an operating system, right? Okay, what is an operating system? Okay, what is kernel and shell? That is optional part. Type of operating system: SOS, NOS, single user, single task, single user, multitask, multi-user, multitask. In any other operating type system types, just you can include like a real-time mobile operating system, distributed operating system. And also I told difference between desktop operating system and server operating system. Difference between Windows operating system and Linux operating system. Just take a small break, 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, I'll give you a small introduction to Windows 10 also.